Hi everyone. In today's demonstration, I'm going to be demonstrating an update to the Simple GIS Server Admin plugin that allows you to publish web maps to a Simple GIS Server instance. Whether this is a Simple GIS Server instance that you're hosting on your own hardware, or if you have subscribed to the fully hosted Simple GIS Server service from Simple GIS. And so to begin with, I have the GIS Server Admin plugin already loaded, and I have a very basic project that's loaded here. You can see I just have two layers. I have the OpenStreetMap tile mapping service as a base map in the background, and then I have a basic point shapefile loaded here that just has some governmental unit points that's loaded. So to begin with, what I wanted to demonstrate, so you could always publish this as a web map to a Simple GIS Server instance, and it would replicate this and it would show all your individual points. Now, let's say if you had a lot of points and you wanted to use clustering to kind of eliminate some of the clutter on your map, and you still wanted the points to be visible at all your different layers. Well, to begin with, what you would need to do is set up your clustering in your Simple GIS Client map. And you would do that by going to your point layer here, governmental units, and you would just set the clustering function on your legend. So what I mean is if you go to the governmental units layer and double click, you'll bring up the layer property settings dialog box, and then you'll just simply go to the set layer legend symbols menu option. And when you click on this, you'll see that I have just a basic legend where all the features are using the same symbol, this particular marker symbol. And now if I wanted to do a clustering, what I would do is underneath these legend settings here, I would come to the cluster point symbols and just make sure I check this checkbox that says cluster points. At this point, I could set the tolerance for the clustering here. I could change the cluster symbol by double clicking on it if I wanted to. And again, this tolerance, one thing about that is in inches, so that's based on the display device that your map is displaying on. So in this case, it's set to 2 inches. And once you have it set like you want it, you just simply click Apply Settings and close the dialog. And you now see that I have this clustered map here with these points. So I have one outlying point here. I have another one that shows I have a cluster of 9 points here, and then another with 68 points here. And so now to publish this, I would go to my File menu, and I would go to Administer Simple GIS Server. And so when you do this, you'll get the dialog box, and the first thing you need to make sure is that you have the appropriate URL for your Simple GIS Server instance. In this case, I'm using a hosted Simple GIS Server instance. So I just enter in this SGS01, this is just my basically the URL for my server instance that I received. You don't need to include the HTTP or HTTPS in the front. Just simply enter in this URL like this. So at this point, you can either click Connect to log in or just go straight to Publish Web Maps. And when you do this, of course, you will need to log in. So you'll need to enter in your username. So if you're using the hosted instance, this would be the username and password that was either assigned to you as an administrator when you set it up, or if you created other usernames for other users that's going to use this instance, this would be their username and password that you assign to them. And assuming your login was successful, you'll get this dialog box. So the next thing you need to do is select the workspace that you're wanting to publish your web map to. So if you had created other private workspaces, these would show up here. Of course, you always have the public workspace that you can publish to, which the public workspace means the web map is visible to anyone that has a URL. And of course, you can set up private workspaces in your Simple GIS Server instance that has security, so that only individuals that has the user name and password for those private instances can access those workspaces. Next, you would just need to enter in a name for your web map. And then you would just come here and start setting up your actual web map information. So this is a logo I've used in the past, so it pre-populates based upon how I used this in the past. Same thing with the map title. So you can fill all of this out how you like it. Select the base layer if you want to include the OpenStreetMap as a base layer in your web map. And then also select the layers to publish. So I want the governmental units, and I'm going to go ahead and include a legend for that as well. And then here, I'm just going to leave all the fields selected. So yeah, I'll have all those fields available for any pop-up as I click on a marker symbol. It'll display all of these fields. I'll go ahead and include a layer search as well. So I do want to be able to search by governmental unit, and I want to be able to search by feature name. So I'll just select that from the drop down, and I'll go ahead and include a street address search bar as well. And that's about it. So at this point, I could, one other thing, I am going to bump down my maximum zoom level a little bit. I don't even think the OpenStreetMap tiles goes to the full 21 zoom level. And then at this point, I can either go ahead and publish my web map to the server or preview my web map. So I'm going to go ahead and publish, and it's going to upload all of the data and everything to the Simple GIS Server instance. And then when it's done, it'll return to this dialog here. So I can dismiss this dialog. But at this point, I can open up a browser window, and I'm just going to go ahead and type in my URL to my Simple GIS Server instance, and then I'll do a / and I'll do the workspace, which was public, and then I'll do the name of my web map, which was demo map, and then one last / and the last thing is sgsmap.html. All of your web maps published to a Simple GIS Server instance will have this sgsmap.html as the final HTML destination, but it would have different workspace. So this would be the workspace is public, and then the map name would be a subfolder underneath that workspace. And once you've entered that, you just hit enter. And since it is in the public workspace, it requires no username and password, and you now see your web map. And now I see that I have all of these points clustered because I am zoomed out quite far. So I see that there is a total of 78 points as my mouse over it. I see the extents of those points. And then as I zoom in, I can see that it'll start breaking out the points into different clusters. If I continue to zoom in, it would eventually get to the individual points. And of course, I can still search on any individual point in that layer. Remember, I set up search by feature name. So I could just start typing a name and then select it, and it would actually zoom to that point. I could click on the point and get all of the information about that particular feature. And so that's it. So that's how you can support clustering of points now in your web map applications, just like you can in your Simple GIS Client application. And of course, as I zoom out, I see the points cluster, or zoom in, I can see that they explode into their either smaller clusters or individual points. So hopefully this was helpful. Visit our website if you have any questions. My website is simplegissoftware.com, all one word. Thank you.